All right, here we are with a White Star modified board from a Ripley's. Pretty good game, I think. And it had some corrosion that had dipped all the way down to this connector that connects to the driver board. So I pulled that and replaced it. And most of the corrosion was isolated to right here. And I've removed the socket, sanded this down, and replaced 10K resistors and this 104 ceramic cap. I always remove the jumper here between 32K and 8K. There's no reason to have that on there because the only game that ever used the 32K ROM was the first game, Roller Coaster Tycoon, or I'm sorry, I can't think of it now, but the first Stern game that used the White Star board set used that 256K RAM, and it is necessary for that game, but for no other games. The corrosion had leapt over to the ROM socket and to U213, which is critical, so I put a new socket in already, and here you can see that the end pin, top right corner, was corroded, so inspecting under those, or inspecting inside those sockets is a good thing to do. This White Star modified board, if something goes wrong on this side of the board, the processor side of the board, these are entirely repairable by competent techs, I'll say. If something goes wrong on the sound side over here, where you have this CPLD, which has Stern specific code on it, and they put this chip on and then they load the software into that chip via this JTAG port here. Stern's the only people that I know of that have that code, so even if you're good enough to work with a surface mount part that is this pitch, you still need to get that code or a preloaded chip from Stern. And then this is the microprocessor on this side, and this is the flash RAM on this side. So you can see the pitch of these components is pretty tight, and it's not something that I work on currently. I probably could, I just don't want to risk working on that side of a very expensive board like this. So let me finish putting the sockets in here, and then we'll get this one over to the bench. And here we are in the test rig with both boards now. This is the Ripley's MPU that I abated alkaline corrosion on. And the driver board, I always replace this 15-pin header. That is critical as it is power out. And on this board, I have replaced Q22, and you'll hear the story there also. I also replaced the top fuse clip on F21. It was had lost its tensile strength. So let's boot it up. Let's watch this LED. 2, 3, 4. That means that this sound section of this board has OS level 4 in it. OS level 8 is the latest, but if it's working, there is no point in messing with it. I want to show you, well, let's do switch test first. And I have my Pennytech tester. And I'm going to go diagonally across here, showing that all the buttons work. And I'll show you the lamp test, and I'll come back to the coil test. So we'll do all lamps. Excellent. Okay, let me go back to the coils now. I'm going to let it cycle through. You can see that there's one coil lit right now. It's 22. And that is something called a idle opto. And I convinced myself that there might be something wrong with that circuit, but I don't think that there is, since I've replaced the tip 102 that was there. But once this Q22 gets turned on, it never turns off. I gotta go find out why exactly that is. I'm going to have to read a manual. So here we're about to complete all the coils, as slow as that is. And all the coils have tested properly. I'll go back and look at that Q22. Let's test some flashers. And that's just a rehash of the previous coil test. Look out!
Amazing. Welcome to Ripley's Auditorium.
All right. And that's it. So, except for getting an explanation for solenoid drive 22, this board pair is done. And I thank you so much for sending it. Same driver board, but I've switched back to a Harley-Davidson ROM set. And this is Q22. We're already in diagnostics. And you can see that circuit is working properly. So I'm still going to track down the mystery, but I'm confident that this board is working as it should.